What's up, YouTube? This is Two Raw 4 TV. So, look, Kenny Smith has been very vocal about how he feels like the Houston Rockets could defeat the Chicago Bulls. All right, he said it time and time again. He's supposed to feel like that. That was his team. It is what it is. It's a hypothetical that could really never be proven. But he said it again recently. He went in more detail than he's ever done before. And I'll read it. He said, "We find I'm gonna put this article in the pinned comment in the comment section below." But he says, "Mike's still the best player in the world I've ever seen, but that means he would have had to win 8 championships in a row. He's not going to win 8 in a row. He's not. No one's done it in the modern era. He wouldn't have done that. Secondly, there was no Horace Grant. He left. Then they became way too small. In the regular season, we went 5-1 against them. They never beat us in the regular season. We used to go to Chicago, smack them. Come back to Houston, smack them up. BJ and Paxson and those guys were good players, but they were too slow for us on the perimeter. And Winnington and them couldn't guard Olajuwon. They were too little. That's why Shaq and them got them. When he came back, it wasn't that he was coming back from baseball. It's that they were too little to guard Shaq. They lost to a team 4 games to 2 that we swept. We swept Shaq and them. So no, no, no. They were not beating us. And if I didn't come in there and I'm not splashing you with threes, Sam Cassell's coming in there and giving you 25. Robert Horry was the new Scottie Pippen then. He wasn't just standing outside. He was handling the ball, flying through the air. And then Clyde, nah, they would not have beat us. They were just too little and they would not have won 8 in a row. Now, he said we would have beat their ass. Um, okay. I mean, look, I'll say this. In '95, I can't dispute that. In '95, I can't dispute that. They would have beat the Bulls. Too little, they would have beat them. Mike wasn't right, you know. No, they wouldn't have beat them. Now, the earlier Bulls, '91 and '93, the championship years, we didn't match up well with them, and they did go 5-1 against that team. The 2 times they meet each year, they would win, and pretty convincingly. Um, and what I also remember is that Jordan used to struggle because of how dominant Olajuwon was in that front court. Olajuwon and Otis Thorpe, they struggled. Jordan often did, shooting the basketball. So I'm not going to sit here in front. Hey, they could have beaten us. But I do know this. If they went back to the finals in '96, the Bulls would have beat that ass. Um, they would have beat that ass. I'm going to tell you something else, too. The Bulls actually started beating them more regularly, ironically. If I'm not mistaken, in '93, '94 year, I think they split that year. '93, '94, when the Horace Grant was still there, Pippen was playing his best basketball. If I'm not mistaken, I think they split that year. But in '95, '96, when it was Longley, Rodman, Pippen, Jordan, Harper, Kukoc coming off the bench, I think the Bulls were beating them in the finals that year. I cannot remember each game. I'm trying to remember the 10 losses that the Bulls had. I used to know all of them. They lost so few games. One of them was against the Knicks. One of them was against the Suns. One of them was against the Nuggets. That leaves 7. Uh, they lost against Orlando. I remember that. That's 4. Um, they lost against the Hornets late in that season. That's 5. Um, they lost against the Raptors. That's 6. I can't remember. I used to know all of them, but I do know this. If I'm not mistaken, I think the Bulls swept the Rockets in '95, '96. I think they swept them. And um, some of the things that would bother Chicago before was no longer there. Clyde Drexler was a shell of himself. Maxwell was gone, who was a great defensive player. Kenny Smith was old. Okay, this so-called advantage that they had. I don't remember Robert Ory just going off against the Bulls for 27 points. I don't remember that shit. I know what he's talking about. I don't remember that shit. As a matter of fact, the only player that I can recall going off against Chicago from outside that entire season was old boy when he was with Miami Heat, Rex Chapman. That's the only player that I can recall really going off against Chicago that season during the regular season, as far as from outside. The Bulls used to keep the 3-point game in check. So, and plus, they were much bigger. Jordan 6'6", Harper 6'6", Pippen 6'7". Their backcourt was an aging Kenny Smith, who was 6'3". Sam Cassell was 6'4". So, and like I said, I don't remember Sam Cassell going off against the Bulls. I don't remember this shit after '95. So they got a point. I mean, yeah, in '95 they would have beat the Bulls. In '94, if you add Jordan to that team, I'm not so certain about that because look, without Michael Jordan, that team won 55 games. You add Michael Jordan to that team, they're probably a 65 to 70 win team. That's a super team to me, right? I don't see it. I don't see how they lose. They were a great defensive team that just lacked offensive punch, but they were still able to win close games. They won a lot of close games, 6 points or less. There's a lot of games that the Bulls lost won that year they could have lost. You add Michael Jordan's 31, 32 points a game. I don't see how I'm and his defense. I'm look, Olajuwon can do what he do. Olajuwon could go off and average 34 and 13. We saw what the Boston Celtics did against the Milwaukee Bucks. Now I know that Giannis isn't Olajuwon, but if you let Olajuwon go off and you stop everybody else, because in '94 they didn't have Drexler, you know what I'm saying? Uh, if they halt everybody else to below their numbers, you let Olajuwon get off, and then we can play the same game. Who they got that's gonna stop Pippen? Who's gonna stop Michael Jordan? Who's gonna stop Tony Kukoc? You know what I'm saying? Like he's mixing up the teams. Like by that time Paxson was done. Paxson was done. He retired in '93 after '93. B.J. Armstrong was a sharpshooter. I'm not saying he was a great defender, but he's looking at certain things, but taking out and not looking at other shit. So Mike's going to demand attention himself. You can't double team Mike and Pippen simultaneously unless you're going to want to leave the bull shooters open. You don't want to leave Steve Kerr open. You don't want to leave B.J. Armstrong open, right? So it's acting like the Bulls don't have some firepower too. But the thing about it is, Rockets fans don't like that there's like this perpetual asterisk by their titles, you know. And I don't think it should be one, but it does. It is a big point that those titles came when Mike wasn't playing. It's the truth, you know.